What's up, YouTube? We are watching Obsession movie breakdown. Every hidden detail you missed. All right, let's go.
I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Obsession, the new horror film by director Curry Barker. Yes, one of two YouTubers currently revolutionizing Hollywood. Barker made this wonderfully haunting film about toxic love that's layered and deeper meaning and incredible attention to detail in the visuals. So in this video, I'm gonna go through this film scene by scene for all the little details that you might have missed. Now, if you are new to this New Rockstars channel, we might be better known for covering big nerdy franchises like Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, but we also try to analyze films like this that you might be even more passionate.
Bro, this girl is so fine, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Bro, I don't even blame him for making the wish. I low-key don't blame him for making the fucking wish, bro. Cause like she bad as hell. Come on, bro.
So I highly recommend you check out our breakdowns of Backrooms, Project Hail Mary, One Battle After Another, Weapons, and Sinners. Obsession begins with this monologue by Bear, short for Baron Bailey, played by Michael Johnston. He's in a diner rehearsing his love confession that he wants to share with his friend and coworker Nikki, testing it on this very polite waitress. There has been much discourse about how Obsession is a story about toxic male loneliness, or even perhaps part of an incel horror trend akin to The Menu and Don't Worry Darling. But director Curry Barker said that he started with an idea of what happens when two people are obsessed with each other and what horrifying destructive and self-destructive lengths they would go to in order to feed that hunger. Bear's affection for Nikki, though, is one-sided, an obsession seen from afar, and not an organic affection born out of mutual chemistry. So you'll notice this film opens with sappy romantic dialogue, romantic music, warm vibes and lighting, and even this pleasant setting to make us think we're watching some kind of mumblecore romance, starting us off with a false sense of sap and security, when in reality, the behavior we are witnessing is actually pretty troublesome. Like, what he literally says is, I feel like I'm coming apart. I think about you all the time, Nikki. I try not to. You're in every song I listen to. I mean, yikes.
Oh, shit.
Curry Barker told Collider's parents.
Bro, that's so real, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I miss being that type of in love with a girl. When like you play a song and it reminds you of a girl. You play love songs and you're just like, oh man, I wish I was with my girl right now, bro. I miss being that type of in love, bro.
Nemiroff that this whole scene was actually a reshot opening. The film's original opening shot was.
And you get that like that little feeling just because you're like thinking of her and like it's the song, bro.
Going to mirror the closing shot.
And then you guys talk and you're like, oh, and then the song comes up while you guys are talking. You're like, oh, this song reminds me of you, and you start blushing and shit. Oh my gosh, I miss being in love. I'm gonna be honest, I miss being in love.
The opening shot of this movie was on Bear, and then we tilt the camera down and we see the dead cat, and then we keep tilting and we see that he's watching a romance movie on the TV. So that was the opening shot, which obviously mirrors the very, very last shot of the movie. So it took me a long time to give that up. I was like, no, like this is the, you know, it's a bookend, you know, it's first shot of the movie, last shot of the movie. But ultimately, we've discovered that having him kind of giving that monologue at the beginning at the diner and kind of getting a little know about his character, it was better.
Bear says, I would choose you over everything. And when the waitress kind of melts at that, Ian cuts it off and calls it cringe. It's the one kind of romantic thing that Bear said, and Ian wants to make him feel bad about it so that he doesn't actually use it on Nikki, whom Ian is secretly sleeping with. Ian is also the one to bring up the idea.
Yeah. Somehow find shit.
One kind of romantic thing that Bear said, and Ian wants to make him feel bad about it so that he doesn't actually use it on.
Somehow find shit, bro. Oh my gosh, this pissed me off in the movie. This low-key pissed me off in the movie. How is find shit? Okay. Spoiler warnings. It's revealed that she was
Nikki,
sleeping
whom Ian is
with this fat ass motherfucker, bro. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That shit pissed me off so much, bro. Like how, bro? Bear is so like, oh my gosh, how does she like this fat ass motherfucker, bro?
sleeping with. Ian is also the one to bring up the idea of being playfully mean, to flirt with Nikki, to call her Freaky Nikki, the teasing nickname that Nikki hates, because
Like, bro, look how much better looking this guy is, bro. No homo, bro. Like, how? It pisses me off, bro.
Bear to ever say that. That's why he also.
It pisses me off that the fact she only likes him, or like kind of like got feelings for him just cause he had to break the fucking or make a wish.
Pushes so hard for Bear to.
she showed this fat ass motherfucker over Bear, bro. Are you
Wait
serious?
until the right time to tell
It
his
still
feelings to
pisses me
Nikki,
off.
knowing that the right time will probably never come. Bear comes home to find his poor cat Sandy has died from ingesting a bottle of Oxy that he wrote "Do not eat" on the bottom of, a bottle that was prescribed to his deceased grandmother Barbara, and a bottle that will come back at the end of the movie. In his bedroom, photo booth photos of this trivia team, the Bass Clef Bandits, since they all work at the music store, shows a blurry one with Bear looking like he's dragging Nikki in with him, and then another one of Bear smiling while Nikki just kind of frowns and flips a finger, and then another one with Bear frowning as Nikki is dragged in Ian and she's smiling again. Bear totally fails to see that Nikki does not see him the way he sees her, and she really just wants to have fun with her friends and with Ian. Bear ogles Nikki's Instagram where she self-deprecates that her selfie looks like it was shot on a flip phone, and of course he liked the post, but it's also liked by Cooper Tomlinson, the actor who plays Ian. Nikki's full name is Nikki Freeman, an ironic nod to the fact that she spends most of this movie not at all free, but rather trapped in a kind of purgatory state. To replace the crystal necklace that Nikki dropped down the drain, Bear goes to an occult shop where he finds the One Wish Willow. Curry Barker said that he was inspired by the Simpsons season 3 Treehouse of Horror episode, remember, with the monkey's paw, based on the W.W. Jacobs short story about a severed monkey's paw that grants wishes with unintended consequences. Barker said that the One Wish Willow was inspired by a prank pen that he used to play with as a kid, and production designer Vivian Gray and prop master Luke Cull tracked down one of those pens and incorporated a piece of its snapping mechanism into the willow twig. For the twig, Cull used dried cactus skeletons. But the wood of a willow tree is said to be associated with enchantment or just the occult, but really its meaning changes culture to culture. But the snapping of a twig is also a gesture associated with witchcraft, as we saw in the 2025 film Weapons. Now, the trivia night is hosted at Barker's Pub, a nod to writer-director Curry Barker, and the voice of the trivia host is Curry's father, Jeff Barker, a successful playwright who helped him write this movie. At the bar, as Nikki teases Bear about his pina colada order and she pays for all the drinks, it's much easier for us to see that's on rewatch that it's really not at all flirting by Nikki. It's the kind of teasing a sister would do to a brother. But also notice that she calls everyone, including the bartender, babe. So you can really see how Bear might have just completely misread that in the past as an affectionate term that was just exclusively for him. Ian interrupts Bear as he tries to tell Nikki his feelings.
Oh my gosh, it's still pissing me off, bro. Just looking at this fat ass motherfucker, bro. I know it's the act. I know he's acting, bro. And it's just like, oh my god. I'm not mad at the actor. I'm just mad that the director chose, like, bro. They could have chose fucking, I don't fucking know, bro. Fucking model, and that shit would have been explainable to why she thought that he was better looking than Bear, bro. But somehow the director chose some ugly fuck to play him, and just like, oh yeah, he's gotta be the one that's gonna be fucking the fine shit instead of actual main character fine shit.
Ian is really the world's worst
No
wingman
homo.
because, yeah, he has something to lose here. When Bear says that they should drink to Sandy, only Sarah senses Bear's sadness and comforts him about his dead cat. And
Oh yeah, and this girl, Sarah. Spoiler warning: she dies, bro. She dies. It's kind of sad, bro. Like if I remember I was watching Joe Bart say this, bro. The real villain of the movie was Bear. It was Bear because all this wouldn't have happened if he didn't do the One Wish Willow and was selfish, you know? Was selfish and was like, didn't do the One Wish Willow. And like throughout the movie, he didn't even care about Nikki. It was more like he cared about himself. Because there was this one scene where he said that he wants the old Nikki back. He said that he wants the old Nikki back, but he still wants her to be obsessed. Even while knowing that while she's obsessed, she's under this like genjutsu, this possession that's like not really her. He still wants her to be obsessed, you know, in turn making him the bad guy because he still knew that while her being obsessed, she was going under like some type of torture.
in fact, I wonder if it might have actually been Sarah who was the only one of these friends to comfort Bear about his dead grandmother, not Nikki, but Bear's fixation and obsession on Nikki caused him to reassign that memory to Nikki, even in the parking lot outside.
I mean, but Nikki is fine shit though. Sarah, she's
who was the only one of these friends to comfort Bear about his dead grandmother, not Nikki, but Bear's
Like, bro, Nikki Moggs her, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
fixation and obsession on Nikki caused him to reassign that memory to Nikki. Even in the parking lot outside, you can see everyone's true affections when you rewatch it. Nikki does flirtily tease Ian here, but then she stares a little too long at Bear when he just laughs too hard at her flirt, and it puts Bear in this headspace of, wait, how does she feel about me? That kind of uncertainty is something that Curry Barker tried to place this whole movie in, because that kind of uncertainty of how other people see you is what puts you in that state of anxiety. Meanwhile, Bear doesn't even notice when Sarah's freaking begging him to come along with them. And when Sarah hugs him goodnight, notice her hand lingers on his arm and she gives him a little pick me smile. But the cinematography is so obsessed with Nikki that it's hard for us to even notice at first. Ian says, get your girl home safe, and Nikki says, ew, don't say it like that. Like Ian would be talking about her brother. And in fact, later in the car, she'll say ew again later. But Bear doesn't pick up on any of those signals. Nikki tells Bear that she's quitting the job because she needs a life change to bring love into her writing, and Bear assumes her story that she's writing is a romance, and she responds, it's not a romance, it's a love story. Bear assumes that those are the same thing, but this false assumption is really
Isn't
the
it?
theme of the whole film. What we consider love is not always a positive romantic force.
Oh.
Love also has a dark, toxic flip side that's really obsession that is ultimately destructive. Bear just keeps
Oh my
bumbling-
gosh, bro. There's like one scene where she's just like watching him sleep, bro. That shit was scary, bro.
And he tries to say goodnight to Nikki by saying, night, freaky Nikki. Yeah, trying Ian's move, and it immediately backfires as Nikki is truly offended. He can't bring himself to tell her his real feelings, even when she gives an opportunity to do so. And with his plans completely foiled, he pulls out the One Wish Willow, which emits a little chime, and he says, I wish Nikki Freeman...
Bro, like the scariest parts of the movie was when like she would just like stand there and just stare, bro. Like in this part, after he breaks it, she just stands by the door. She just stands by the door for a long while.
more than anyone in the fucking world and snaps the willow branch. Now, the exact wording really mattered here. More than anyone in the fucking world applied a level of intensity to this love that makes it way more than what it might have been, just sweet affection that never ever ended. Now, when Bear looks over at Nikki, even though we had heard the door close, we didn't hear it open again, and she's just suddenly on the porch, silhouetted dark in the light. She's basically a menacing spectral presence that he jumps at, kind of like the way shadowy demons often appear in horror films. Though Curry Barker and actress Indy Navarrete went to great lengths to make Nikki not come off as demonically possessed, as this is not a possession story, but rather she comes off as more of a whiny, possessive, jealous girlfriend. And right away, Nikki seems off. There is no glimpse of any of her former self here. She seems over obsessed with Bear's cat, and she thinks it was her cat for a second, and then she just starts glitching, saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, Navarrete is just so nuanced and controlled here. It is terrifying. Now, I'm going to refer to this new presence as Wish Corrupted Nikki. It's not a demon. It's a new presence created by the wish that has taken over Nikki's full body and mind.
Bro, it's basically the same thing, bro. Possession, bro. Possession, same thing, bro.
Singularly focused on an obsession on Bear, forcing real Nikki into the back seat in a kind of purgatory state where she can see, feel, and experience everything that's happening to her, but do nothing to stop it. But real Nikki briefly surfaces again here, saying, what the fuck? But then Wish Corrupted Nikki regains control and then starts pouting teasingly as she lies about her dad dying to manipulate Bear into spending the night with her. Wish Corrupted Nikki gets Bear to sleep in bed with her, and as she makes out with him, real Nikki resurfaces again. But Wish controlled Nikki regains control and apologizes and calls a reaction a panic attack and then just starts sobbing. As she sleeps, Bear researches the One Wish Willow, where the search results say it's a vintage toy from the 80s whose effects are debated as the Mandela effect. On a Reddit alternative called Threadit, the comments all alternate yes and no on whether it actually works.
Oh my gosh, bro. I wish the One Wish Willow was real, bro. Make me the greatest basketball player of all time. Psh. I'll wake up as LeBron.
There's a comment by Berenstain Bear Facts, referring to that Mandela effect conspiracy theory, claiming that this poster's mom was ugly her entire life, but is gorgeous now and doesn't even look old. After he goes back into the bedroom, Wish Corrupted Nikki is once again silhouetted in shadow by backlight staring right at him. The next morning, he finds that she's made breakfast for him, and as he walks into the kitchen and looks at the floor, there is a very quick, creepy shot where Nikki quickly darts across the doorway behind him, but then the camera tilts down to see Nikki had taken Sandy the cat's corpse out as a kind of memorial. Yes, because obsession is not real love. Obsession has no empathy. Obsession is what drives the characters in Stephen King's Pet Sematary to grotesquely unearth dead things that should have stayed buried, just like this. As Bear tells Ian at work what happened, literally the moment
Bro, she literally just stares at him the whole fucking scene. That shit was scary, bro. And then there's like another scene. Oh my gosh, this movie was fucking crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like that cat scene, bro. I was like, what the fuck? That's so weird. And then bro, there's another scene where she cooks, or like there's a scene where he eats a sandwich. Oh my gosh. And he finds out that the sandwich was made with his cat. With his cat's remains. Oh my gosh.
Corrupted Nikki gets
That
to the
shit was
register.
nasty.
Out of focus in the background, she slowly turns to stare at the back of Bear's head, and every time we cut back to Bear for the next 3 minutes, we still see the blurry shape of her face just staring frozen. She doesn't move the entire time. Later, when looking at the side effects of MDMA, we see that Bear's recent searches include yesterday, classic romance movies, how to play Green Day's Basket Case on Marimba, last 7 days, how to woo a girl, how to impress a girl, how to flirt, how to know you've been friend zoned.
Yo, this is so real, bro. I can't lie. This is so real. Cause, like I said, back in 9th grade, I think I said this before. Back in 9th grade, bro, I was one of those guys that used to watch was like those very masculine men that would like teach you how to be a guy and shit, or a man and shit. Bro, I'll be honest, bro. I used to watch that. I used to also search up these, bro, on YouTube. Looking back, I mean, some of them helped, but like at the same time, bro. Oh my fuck, bro. You just gotta experience it, bro. You just gotta experience it, bro. What the fuck is that noise?
July, oxycodone, and in June, nursing homes, old people homes. Yeah, it's a reverse history of Bear finding a home for his grandmother. And
Bro, I remember I used to always just come home after school and I wouldn't even be on my bed. I don't know why I love the floor, but I love just like laying down on the floor over there. And I'll just go on my phone and search up the same shit. How to flirt, how to make a girl like you, how to know if a girl likes you.
then researching the effects of oxy.
Bro, I remember it like it was fucking yesterday, bro.
Becoming infatuated with Nikki at work. Yeah, his infatuation seems like a very recent thing, kind of a resurfaced 7 years too late promposal, as Ian described it. Now, in this profile shot, Witchcrypt and Nikki is hidden in the background as we see her shadows shift into motion and the curtains to the front door. She's now wearing a flirty red dress, and in the close-up on the front doorstep, there's an odd light reflected in her eyes. At this point, she manipulates Bear's anxieties over possibly taking advantage of a woman who is under the influence of drugs. But all it really takes is Witchcrypt and Nikki saying she might like him, saying, would it freak you out if I did? Yeah, suddenly embracing the freaky Nikki nomenclature, and then bam, they're off to the races. Curry Barker hilariously shoots this as kind of a rom-com date montage set to sweet music, but it's all very creepy knowing what Nikki's already done. They giggle over a meme that says, I want to wear your skin as a sweater. Ugh. And you'll notice here that Witchcrypt and Nikki starts wearing a headband, just like that easily impressed.
Oh, this makes me like realize, like, bro, that girl that I fell in love with back in like 2024, bro, I was not love, bro. I was like obsession, bro. I ain't gonna lie, we were low key obsessed with each other. Cause I remember, bro, I don't know how the conversation came up, but she was like, "Oh, I'll eat you." I don't know if she was joking, but it seemed like she was dead ass. She was like, "Oh, I'll eat you." I don't know why I gave into it, but I asked her, "Oh, what part would you eat me first?" She actually gave me a fucking answer, and she said my face. I don't know if she was joking or what, but like, bro, shit was crazy back then, bro. Shit, I felt nice back then. I felt it felt beautiful when she said that for some reason, but we were obsessed, bro. We were obsessed with each other, and just wow, it makes me amazed that like, I don't even know, bro. I didn't catch it.
Opening scene. There's a few shots of them watching a movie together, and Witchcrypt and Nikki keep staring at him, and Bear, as if he's had to do this a bunch of times, moves her chin back to face the TV. Like he's still found comfort in just living with this scary presence, even though he knows it's not natural. Your financial info is yours, but it's easy to feel like you don't have any control over it. As great protection for purchase. Private dinner when Bear asks
skip
and make privacy part of your daily routine.
Damn, that was like a whole 3
Dinner when
minutes.
Bear asks about her dad, Witchcraft and Nikki picks up a knife. It's just a butter knife, but still a knife, and changes the subject. Bear jokes that he wants to become a food critic called 3 Bite Bailey, and of course, she's gonna remember this tidbit. Ian calls Bear to say Nikki lied about her dad's cancer, and Bear takes this call under this tree design.
See, bro, these little like clips where she's just staring at him, or like just like she just stands there waiting for him for like a whole 5 minutes is so scary. I don't lie.
Reminds us this is all the result of the willow branch that he broke. It's so creepy to see Wish corrupted Nikki in the background just stepping out to watch Bear and then step behind the wall, freaking us out, thinking that she's gonna suddenly pop around the corner. But he goes back to the table and confronts Nikki about her dad.
No, don't do that! I thought we were having a nice day.
Yes, that manic repeated no reminds me of Georgina's moment in Jordan Peele's Get Out when Chris confronts her.
No.
After sex, we get the creepiest scene of the movie. Bear looks for Nikki in his dark bedroom.
This is the most uncomfortable scene I ever watched in a fucking movie. Bro, the sex scene in this movie was so like she was making the noises, you know, the noises of what a girl would do or would make in bed, but like her facial expressions wasn't it. I would do it, but like hey bro, she would like her face would be so straight and she would just be making noise, and it was weird, bro. It was weird.
The iconic shot in Ari Aster's Hereditary that allowed the viewer's eye to gradually adjust to the darkness. We now see wish-corrupted Nikki in plain sight, slinking out of the shadow in the corner at an unnatural speed and fluidity. And then after way too calmly talking to him, she retreats with the same odd fluidity back into the darkness of that corner. And it looks like Curry Barker actually used some reverse photography for many of the movements here. She says, "I don't like my dreams." And then her voice distorts and says, "I feel like you don't love me as much as I do, like it's not mutual." And her full face distorts as well so that she doesn't even look like herself, but it's kind of like a trick on our eyes because it's so dark we can't even make out her facial features.
That shit was scary.
Certainly do not match her words here. Now, of course, she doesn't like her dreams because in her dreams she has to share her subconscious with the real Nikki. The next morning, Bear notices wish-corrupted Nikki had cut some of his hair and confronts her about it, but notice that she's reading a book upside down here. She clearly was just staring at it blankly, trying to look cute when Bear walked in. Nikki blames her behavior on just a bad dream and smiles extra tight. Curry Barker said that he watched the movie Pearl with the cast, and this smile looks a lot like Mia Goth's iconic forced smile at the end of that film. Somehow, this whole scene Bear missed the fact that wish-corrupted Nikki duct taped the door shut. I love the gag of him just gradually prying the door open. In the lunch that she packed for Bear, she put 2 Polaroids, the second of which is a selfie of her smiling while he was sleeping, labeled "Not me." Maybe that was a subconscious cry for help from the real Nikki. Bear calls out Sarah for what Ian had said, saying that she and Nikki were talking shit about Bear being friend-zoned, a brother figure to Nikki, and Sarah says, "Look, if Ian is spreading my shit, then you should know," before her dad cuts her off with an art school rejection letter. Yeah, she was about to tell Bear that Ian had been hooking up with Nikki. Unfortunately, Sarah doesn't get to tell him that until the final scene of her life. Had Bear found that out sooner, he may not have gone through the next couple things he goes through. Now here, Sarah says, "Your lunch smells weird," and this is after he took a big bite of that sandwich where like a piece of the meat definitely dangled from his mouth. Ugh. And she reads the back of the note that says, "What's the verdict? Cat." As Bear realizes that Nikki had made him a literal sandy witch. Ian accuses Bear of taking advantage of Nikki during her mental episode that he thinks she's going through, while interestingly, Sarah tells Bear that she thinks Nikki's taking advantage of him, depending on his puppy love instead of going to therapy. Just kind of an interesting dichotomy between the relationships there. Bear calls the Tabby Cat customer support line.
I just want to know if I can, like, alter it a little.
I'm sorry, we don't really do that.
This is the voice of director Curry Barker himself. This whole idea of the company refusing to alter wishes or even cancel wishes kind of comes from Barker just refusing to develop any lore or backstory for the One Witch Willow for this movie. He considers that not his job as a director and wants to leave it open for interpretation, and I kind of love that. But the operator does say that only death can break the spell over Nikki, and that Bear has a moral obligation to be there for her. Then the operator allows Bear to hear the real Nikki, who just screams in agony. Yes, I love the horrifying implication that this company somehow has access to whatever mental suffering may result from its customers' wishes. At Ian's party, wish-corrupted Nikki laughs way too hard at a simple joke. Yeah, another red flag that you brought the wrong person to a party. Drawing a Jenga brick that apparently required her to embarrass herself or say some secret, Wishcrypt and Nikki recites this passage from her story. And forgive me, but I'm now going to say the whole thing. The air was charged by the distant call of the night bird. His face was obscured, but I knew he was looking at my chest, each side stretching recently matured to different sizes. Also, come lay with me like the old woman taught us when we were children, I said. He closed the door and leaned against it. You're not my wife, Gretel, he said. I'm more than your wife, I'm your sister. Hansel flinched and reached for the door handle. I knew he would not leave this place. He would relent and choose to be inside me like he had many nights before. If not, I would fillet his meaty forearm, roll it like a stick of licorice,
Dog,
and insert
what
flesh
the
between my
fuck?
legs. Hansel is my soul. Love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure. Brother, you will be inside me tonight. Hey, this movie stole my wedding vows.
Brother. I think that was like a poem of like some incest shit, bro. I forgot, bro.
So, okay, this disgusting, incestuous Hansel and Gretel monologue was written by Curry's playwright father, Jeff Barker, and it really does speak to the way real Nikki said that she saw Bear as a brother, mixed with the way Wishcrypt and Nikki desires him sexually. Wishcrypt and Nikki is really trying to do some of the creative writing that real Nikki was struggling with due to writer's block, and it all comes out in this grotesque way that she thinks will turn Bear on. Bear draws a block to kiss the person on his left, meaning Sarah, and Wishcrypt and Nikki hits us with this iconic pouty frown and drags Sarah out of the way and then puckers for a smooch. Real Nikki surfaces here and smashes a bottle to stab herself in the face twice before Wishcrypt and Nikki.
I mean, like, is she wrong for that though? Is she wrong for that, for doing that? I mean, she could have did that in a more subtle way, but like, what's it called, bro? Before I got distracted. But like, if you're at a party with your significant other, and it was a dare for them to kiss another person, are you really gonna let them kiss another person? Let's be so for real. Come on, bro.
Control. I love
She's not really
Bear's
wrong for that.
reaction in this moment. He's horrified at first, but then he just kind of resigns and shuts down as he fully knows what he is committed to. Curry Barker revealed something interesting about this house. They shot this movie in fall of 2024 in the Burbank area, and then in January of 2025, the house where they shot this scene burned down in the LA fires, making this movie kind of part of the cursed history when it comes to iconic horror films and real-life fires that consume the sets. During the filming of The Exorcist, a bird flew into a circuit box and burned down the McNeil family home set, but Reagan's bedroom
What the fuck is that?
untouched by the flames. Ooh, back home.
Oh my gosh, bro. You can't just be popping random shit up on my fucking screen like that, bro. Holy shit.
Bear asks Wishcrypt and Nikki, does Nikki like me? Is Nikki happy? Yeah, he's trying to break through, and he knows for sure it's not really her when she embraces the nickname.
I'm your freaky Nikki.
Now there is a moment when Bear is almost swayed by Wishcrypt and Nikki saying, I love you in every reality, but then she freaks him out again by reversing back into the shadows of the doorway. Yes, more reverse photography used there, and threatens to harm herself if he leaves. So he stays that night, but then after slipping out of bed to meet Sarah, the real Nikki calls to him while Wishcrypt and Nikki sleeps, begging Bear to kill her. But Bear responds, what would be so bad about being with me? Yeah, at this
Bro, I forgot about this scene too. See, look, he's the villain, bro. He's the villain. He's like...
point, we know Bear deserves everything bad that's coming his way. But there is a sweet moment, a false victory with Bear and Sarah that just gets ruined when Wishcrypt
She kills her,
Nikki
bro.
smashes through the glass and smashes Sarah's face against a brick. God, this is awful. It's hard to tell from the shock of this moment, but on each of the hits, if you listen closely, the brick presses against the steering wheel in a slight way that emits a little honk from the car. Oh, God. Wishcrypt and Nikki tells a shocked Bear, Sarah, is all your fault. You wanted this. You wished for this. So at this point, we know Wishcrypt and Nikki is aware of her very existence coming solely from Bear's wish, and she knows how these one-wish willows really work. They dispose the body at the music shop. Since Bear cannot break another willow twig, he brings a new one to Ian, but asshole Ian wishes for $1 billion and money just rains from...
Oh my gosh. Okay, as much as I hated Ian, I hated the fact that he died. Cause bro, at the end he won, bro. He won. He got $1 billion fucking dollars. He wished for $1 billion and he got $1 billion. Bro, if I died after winning $1 billion, oh my gosh, bro, I'd be so fucking pissed, bro. Like he like he started raining money and shit. Oh my gosh, I would be like, this shit's fucking real. Oh my gosh. Bro, I would have fled the fucking country, went to fucking, what's it called, Cancun, and just chilled there for like the next 10 years, bro.
Above. For a second, I thought we were gonna see Ian get crushed because even in $100 bill denominations, $1 billion weighs 10 metric tons and takes up the space of 10 industrial pallets. Yeah, it would easily fill Ian's living room. I guess there was an interview where Curry Barker said that even after Ian died, that money did not vanish. It still stayed in the house. So I guess the death rule only really breaks the spell in cases of romantic obsession. Bear comes home to find another shrine to him made by Wishcraft and Nikki that includes, it looks like some pump lotion, maybe the kind Bear would have used to, you know. Nikki has further desecrated Sarah's corpse, and we see that Nikki is now wearing Sarah's dress and that she has drawn Sarah's tattoos on her body. And since her hair has changed, she might be wearing Sarah's scalp here. Yeah, she's trying to make herself Sarah because Wishcraft and Nikki is insane and she thinks that's what Bear wants. Ian barges in and Wishcraft and Nikki shoots him. This would be from the loaded gun that Sarah's dad kept in the music store safe that they talked about earlier in the movie. Wishcraft and Nikki got it when she stayed behind to deal with Sarah's body. Wishcraft and Nikki vomits on Bear, and finally he just screams,
I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you!
He calms her down and he ends up locking himself in the bathroom. Through the door, a completely deranged Witchcraft and Nikki says calmly, I think we should break up. Yeah, one last emotional manipulation. Bear cannot bring himself to pull the trigger, but he remembers his grandmother's oxy in the medicine cabinet that had killed the cat. So he ingests the pills, and before he instinctively moves to purge, we hear a chime of a one-wish willow in the other room and a snap, and we now have a witch-corrupted bear, willed into existence by Witchcraft and Nikki to love her back.
Fuck
the oxy
no.
kicks in as the camera moves down past the snap twig. Witch-corrupted Nikki sobs and grabs the gun, and just before she Juliets herself, Bear's death brings real Nikki back to the surface. Poor real Nikki completely loses it to realize her three best friends are all dead in the house with her. Around
Bro, oh my gosh. Bro, if that happened to me, I'll be like, because like now, okay, not only that my friends are dead, bro, I'm going to jail. How am I gonna explain this to the cops? There's no explaining that I could do that. I would be like, yo, I was possessed. It's not my fault. They're not gonna believe me, you know?
her two best friends and the one guy who ruined her life. Curry Barker planned for an alternate
Bro, I'd be so pissed. Honestly, I would just kill myself at that point. I would have just killed myself
where
at that
Nikki
point.
would have died as well, but they went with this option of Nikki screaming in shock. It's arguably even darker because she was the one to steal the gun from that music store that probably had security cameras, so any police investigating this are gonna pin all three deaths on her. Yes, a woman who committed the only crime of flashing a fleeting smile at a friend. Bravo to fellow YouTuber Curry Barker for shooting this movie for less than $1 million, getting it picked up by Focus Features.
Less than
Blumhouse
$1 million? Holy shit, they must have made money, a lot of money back then.
$15 million, and then being the first movie since E.T. Yes, Steven Spielberg's E.T. in 1982 to open wide and increase its box office weekend over weekend, when normally it's the opposite. Big opening and dropping off weekend over weekend. It's so successful that it convinced Universal to drop a planned June 2nd streaming date and extend its theatrical window. It's tracking to make nearly $300 million worldwide. if not
Oh
more.
my gosh. They made fucking money. Holy shit.
That. It's beating The Mandalorian and Grogu. That is insane success, and it speaks to the power of a simple story executed perfectly with great writing and performances that are really connecting with viewers. Comment down below with your thoughts on this movie, and a special thanks to one of our NR Underground subscribers, Paolo Bianca, for supporting us at the executive producer level. You can get all of our exclusive bonus content by clicking on the link in the description below. We're going to
Yo, my berry's ass.
nrunderground.superhits.com. Big thanks to Studio Tech Brian Kim, New Rockstar.
Oh shit. Oh, that was the end of the video. Thank you, YouTube. Bye-bye.